Welcome to the bold analysis. A memo has come out where government has directed the Ministry of Trade to move its offices from the Two Rivers Mall back to the 17th floor of NSSF building as a conflict continues between Moses Kuria and Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And this is a rift that threatens to split the ruling coalition. According to an insider report, the offices were relocated back to building owned by State Pension Fund, claiming that the government is moving to trim its expenses in line with recent austerity measures. A separate other insider also said, however, refuted those claims and claimed that the directive was meant to clip the wings of outspoken CS who recently received a lashing from the Deputy President over his remarks on the cost of living and the rising fuel prices. Kuria is not new to such controversies in that ministry. But let's get from first, how did it happen that there was an office that was already available for the ministry, but they had to go to lease some private office for the offices? What exactly had prompted that to happen? The Trade Ministry moved out of the NSSF building, citing lack of space to conduct its business, as Kuria set his eyes on attracting more investments into the country. And in November 7th, 2022, that was last year, Trade Principal Secretary Karimi Kaberia said and told the President that the ministry had increased its capacity with the creation of State Department for Investments Promotion, aside from the State Department for Trade and the State Department for Industry. There are two state departments that were created within the ministry. And so there was need for an extra space. So it meant that the ministry needed a larger office space, informing the decision to lease space in the outskirts of the city. At the time, Moses Kuria noted that the space at NSSF building was not sufficient for their growing needs, which prompted them to request the Kenya Development Corporation KDC to host the office of the CS and support offices at the office complex. CS Kuria explained that relocation was a strategic move to provide a world-class environment needed to leave investors with a good impression of the country and subsequently secure deals. There is something in marketing that you need to impress, and I don't know, the reasoning by Moses Kuria, according to me, is very fallow and shallow, because I don't think investors who want to invest in this country will look at the serene environment where that office is, because everyone knows that when you're talking about conducive environment to invest, it all has to do with the legal framework, the taxes in the country, and the political stability of a country. So it's a bit shallow for Moses Kuria to say that they needed the private office in the other side of the mall because they wanted to give investors a good impression. At this point, there is a screenshot that I think I received, and it's been a rumor that has been a little bit here for some time. It was some rumor that came. I just want to read it in my phone here. Latest intelligence reports indicate that all Mount Kenya MPs have been summoned to Mombasa for an urgent meeting tonight by the DP Gachagua. This information I think came yesterday, and it was in some WhatsApp groups. The top secret agenda is the political demise of Moses Kuria. This after the CS rebuffed a request from the president to honorably resign from government, Interesting days are ahead of us as the CS is said to have sworn to spill the beans and on fellow politicians if there is an attempt to eject him from the current position. All this is coming and is happening at a time Kuria is also spending time in the Nyanza region. It was in Kisii, today I think is in Siaya on aggregation industrial parks, launch of aggregation industrial parks within the counties. And I listened to his speech, and I think the speech of Simba Rati while speaking in Kisii. They were hitting. There was a hit squad against Rigathi Gachagua about shareholders and all that. So there is something that is here that we cannot run away from, that there is a split between Moses Kuria and Rigathi Gachagua. But then, what exactly is happening? Because I know there is a very legitimate reason that government is reducing costs. So it's reducing costs because if they have an office in the other side to Rivers Mall, then that's a private office that means it's leased, so government is spending money on that end. But if the NSSF building is a building where they're not going to pay rent, they're not renting, then honestly, all the offices needs to be there. But there have been an attempt during the transition, by people who are just hijacking, I want that office, so you just avail the money, prepare that office for me. There have been that attempt. However, even though austerity measures could still be achieved, but it is the coincidence of Moses Kuria being taken back to CBD at a time there is that push and pull between him and Rigathi is actually telling all. Because remember, this is against their wish, and not that they were not there. That is where the office was initially. So they've been taken there. There's one interpretation I'm making, and I believe even Moses Kuria from where he's seated, he might see that the profile of that office is going down, or rather is being demoted. His reason why he needed a private office the other side of Two Rivers was to give, to get a serene environment, because he's the minister in charge of trade and investors, so he's meeting investors. But recently, when William Ruto went to US, Moses Kuria was replaced by a former CS who worked under Uhuru Kenyatta, and he could not fly to US because I think Catherine Tai, a US envoy, was once in this country, I think last month, and declined to meet Moses Kuria because of his foul mouth, because of bad mouthing. And probably the US did not just want, or rather didn't agree, probably they had some injunctions against Moses Kuria. And with all that happening, and then that office being taken back to CBD, even though it will receive, if government is not going to pay rent, then of course there is some cost that have been cut, but there is clear information here that they're taking down the profile of that ministry, according to what Moses Kuria was expecting. Now, this has happened at a time Rigathi is in charge, and President Ruto, I think, is still in the US, but I think he came today, if I'm not wrong. What would the fallout between Rigathi and Moses Kuria portray, or rather, what is the impact on President Ruto? Because this is something that must worry. Moses Kuria is a man who, I believe, really is there because Ruto did not want to leave him out. The reason why he's in cabinet and he cannot be left out is because Kuria is a destroyer. And he's more dangerous when he's out of government than when he's in government. One of the reasons why he was given a ministry, probably taken in the cabinet, apart from competence, by the way, when you talk about competence, he's a very educated fellow. I think he's a very polished. In Ruto's cabinet, he's amongst the polished fellows in that cabinet. But politically, he's normally a gun for hire. And William Ruto knows very well that despite of the pressure to sack Moses Kuria and do this and that for Moses Kuria, when the fallout escalates, it can go against William Ruto because, number one, Moses Kuria is a mobilizer. And if there is someone that can walk out and mobilize anti-Gachagua force in Mount Kenya, then that can be Moses Kuria. That is very clear. Number two, Moses Kuria and Rigathi Gachagua, all these fellows, they all thrived in profiling Uhuru Kenyatta negatively. But what will then happen? If the fallout escalates, I'm seeing him quoting some members of the Azimio, and then it creates a situation where they want to oppose what Rigathi says. Remember, the person, what made Rigathi really be Rigathi is the kind of negative words he said against Uhuru Kenyatta. Then you'll find out that the whole Mount Kenya political narrative will be down if that fallout escalates. Because when it's out, Kuria started asking Uhuru Kenyatta, what have you done for the region? That was in 2019, I remember. So when he walks out, he will start asking Rigathi, you said unaanza na alcoholic, where is it? There is nothing. You said unaenda na coffee reforms, where is it? The price of Nini is up. When he walks out of government, he's more dangerous. So I want to believe that the move to NSSF, back to NSSF building, is, I want to say ill-informed, but it's very intentional. Thank you.